I am the heir nurtured by a frail yet formidable figure. In the year following his demise, I was reborn. I returned to the day of my wedding. In a public display, I removed the ring and rushed towards him. Kneeling before his wheelchair on one knee, my eyes brimmed with warmth. Brother, either marry me or end my life. You may choose one. 1. A commotion erupted around us, with several media personnel storming into the wedding venue, cameras and microphones in hand. Yet, I paid no heed to the chaos. My gaze was solely fixed on one person. A mixture of joy and trepidation coursed through me, afraid that this might merely be a figment of my imagination during a moment of delirium. Whispers began to circulate among the guests. Yuwenshin furrowed his brow and coldly admonished, "Get up." I remained steadfast, unperturbed, and asked, "Have you made your choice, brother? What on earth are you doing, Yu Chung?" I placed my hand over the prominent veins on his wrist and chuckled softly. "We have both tasted death once. What is a little madness between us?" Yuwenshin's hands trembled with fury, his gaze piercing through me as if I were a lunatic. My smile persisted as I gently declared, "Brother, if you do not make a decision soon, I may be unable to resist kissing you in front of everyone." A sharp slap resounded. My cheek burned fiercely, and the metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. I tilted my head, exposing the other side of my face. "Go on, brother. Let me know your answer once you've calmed down." Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed him raise his hand. After a prolonged pause, the second slap never came. Instead, he grasped my collar and yanked me forward, his voice low and strained. "Yu Chung, if you still acknowledge me as your brother, return to the stage this instant." I smiled nonchalantly, gripping the nape of his neck and giving it a gentle squeeze, abruptly silencing him. As he fainted, I cradled him, lifting him from his wheelchair with ease. I had never held him like this in my previous life. Unable to resist, I inhaled the scent of his hair. In my past life, Yuwenshin had used this very threat to coerce me into marriage. How naive I had been then, terrified at the thought of him severing ties with me, never realizing I was the one who had confined our relationship, denying him the title of brother. Perfectly fine then. I would simply marry him and bring him home. 2. I had only taken a couple of steps while carrying my brother when a group of 7 or 8 bodyguards surrounded us. The leader was someone I recognized, Zhou Chuan, a trusted aide of the current president of the business association, Old Master Jiang. "Mr. Yu, the young lady is awaiting you on stage. Old Master Jiang has sent me to escort you back." I chuckled lightly and replied, "I cannot go through with this marriage." "Then do not blame us for being rude." With a swift kick, I sent the fastest one sprawling to the ground and calmly remarked, "There is no need for violence when we can simply converse." The atmosphere fell silent. I switched to a one-armed hold on my brother and beckoned Zhou Chuan with a casual gesture. He eyed me warily, hesitating for a moment before obediently leaning closer. 3 seconds later, Zhou Chuan's expression shifted dramatically, fear etched across his face. I patted his shoulder and politely said, "Please ensure Old Master Jiang attends to all the guests present today. Also, do not neglect our journalist friends. Relay to him that I do not wish to see any reports concerning Yuwenshin in any media outlet." The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Steadying my hold on my brother, I strode forward, the flashes of cameras relentless. I was acutely aware that they were capturing my brother. For over the last decade and more, every public appearance of his had brought surprises to the journalists of Wuqing. 3. Yuwenshin, the sole heir to the fortune of Wuqing. 17 years ago, Mr. and Mrs. Yu fell victim to the machinations of those around them, meeting their demise in a tragic car accident. Yuwenshin miraculously survived, but his legs were left crippled. At the tender age of 13, he orchestrated a grand funeral for his parents, an event that became the talk of the town. A year later, amid a pack of wolves lurking to seize power, 14-year-old Yuwenshin emerged as the youngest patriarch of the family. He immediately announced the donation of half of the family fortune. Part of it was distributed as cash to the impoverished citizens of Wuqing, while the rest was donated to small and medium-sized enterprises in the area. From that moment on, Yuwenshin became a focal point for the government, business associations, and state media in Wuqing. All public welfare projects received his endorsement. At the age of 17, he executed a sweeping overhaul within the family conglomerate, securing absolute authority over the group. By 18, he apprehended the culprits responsible for his parents' demise. 4 in total, 2 insane and 2 deceased. The police were aware but could find no evidence linking him to the crime. By 19, Yu Wenshin's life settled into a monotonous routine. On sleepless nights, he would venture to the beach for a breeze, where he stumbled upon me, the source of his disturbances. He nurtured me until I was capable of normal activities and boldly declared to the media that I was his long-lost son. I was 13 that year, and he urged me to call him daddy in front of the cameras. Some discerning media professionals realized that Yu Wenshin could not possibly have a son my age. Upon hearing this, he appeared to have a change of heart and promptly corrected himself, stating I was his long-lost brother, sharing the same parents. The following year, a local financial channel launched a program titled How to Raise Outstanding Heirs. Yu Wenshin voluntarily participated, bringing me along. He once again announced to the cameras that I was his sole heir. The host, feigning casualness, glanced at his legs and inquired, "Mr. Yu, is there any underlying reason for choosing your brother as your heir?" Leaning back lazily in his chair, he responded mockingly, "What underlying reason? A brother loves his sibling and wishes to leave everything to him. What's wrong with that?" The host commented, "A deeply moving bond between brothers." Once aired, the public was utterly convinced of my status as Yu Wenshin's biological brother. And now, as the bodyguards opened the car door, a fervent individual thrust a microphone into my face. "Mr. Yu, are your actions today not an attempt to engage in incest with your brother?" Before he could finish, Old Master Zhang's men dragged him away. Yet I understood his implication. Incest? What a jest. My brother and I were simply lovers destined to be together. If I were to truly wed Old Master Zhang's granddaughter today, that would indeed be scandalous. For my brother stirred in my arms, awakening with a slap. I looked down and chuckled, "Brother, that slap won't kill me. So you choose to marry me, correct?" He closed his eyes, his long, thick lashes trembling. It seemed I had truly riled him up. The collar of his shirt tightened suddenly as he fiercely tugged at the bow tie he had tied for me, glaring at me with his strikingly beautiful eyes. "Yu Chung, have you lost your mind or been possessed? You were perfectly fine this morning. How did you go mad all of a sudden? Did you really think what you did today was acceptable? Is this how I've raised you? Speak up." My brother sat on my lap, vociferously scolding me, but I found myself entranced by the warmth of his presence, almost moved to tears. I gently caressed his back and softly said, "Brother, you taught me to be a good young man who upholds virtue, and I have always kept that in mind. Thus, cannot marry Zhang Yizhao. Speak plainly. I am the long-lost grandson of Old Master Zhang." "What?" My brother froze, confusion washing over his features, dissipating much of his anger. "You're not lying to me, are you?" I chuckled helplessly. "How could I dare deceive you, brother?" He slapped me again. "Stick to the point. Stop acting coy. Oh dear, I've been seen through." I cleared my throat and said earnestly, "Brother, did you not investigate my background after you took me in?" "Of course I did. You were a pitiful child who had been passed around by human traffickers, eventually landing in an orphanage, from which you escaped. I had that old scoundrel from the orphanage kneel at my feet and confess. Indeed, the issue lies in how I ended up in the hands of human traffickers," I remarked. My brother shot me a sidelong glance. "And how did that come to be?" I smiled wryly. "You would have to ask Old Master Zhang about that. He originally had 2 sons, but now only 1 granddaughter remains to enjoy his affection. The intricacies of the Zhang family cannot be encapsulated in mere words. Nevertheless, it is indisputable that I am his biological grandson." My brother squinted at me. "And how do you know this?" I fell silent. In my previous life, Zhang Yizhao and I had arranged a faux marriage in secret. A year later, the old butler revealed to him the truth of my abduction before he passed away. Thankfully, the marriage between Zhang Yizhao and I was merely nominal, allowing for a glimmer of redemption in this absurd predicament. Immediately, the old master publicly announced that Zhang Yizhao and I had amicably divorced due to incompatible personalities, and that he would continue to treat me as his beloved grandson. But how was I to explain this? My brother continued to scrutinize me. I sighed, "Brother, just trust me. As for how I came to know this, I will tell you when the opportunity arises." "All right," my brother scoffed. "The child has grown wise to the art of deception, has he? Are you still clinging to me?" He was getting angry again. "He is easily provoked, but he can also be easily soothed." "Brother," I said, "you are the most important person in my life. I would never dream of deceiving you." My brother appeared conflicted, his gaze darting away several times before he finally turned his head and retorted, "Where are you taking me?" "To the hospital." He froze for a moment, then turned to glare at me. "Not going." I firmly restrained his incessant struggles. You have no say in this. My brother's eyes widened in indignation. So, the little brat has grown wings, has he? Dare to threaten me? You still consider me your brother? Do you not? I have not, I replied. I wouldn't dream of it. If you desire, I could learn. I am both your brother and your lover. My brother fainted again, overwhelmed by my words. Low blood sugar, low blood pressure, myocardial ischemia, chronic gastritis, autonomic nervous dysfunction, low platelets. What are you doing, listing off diagnoses? My brother snatched the diagnosis paper and threw it to the ground. His complexion was as pale as a sheet, devoid of color. Still, he maintained a facade of nonchalance, which was infuriating. I picked up the diagnosis paper, folded it neatly, and tucked it into my pocket. I placed my hands on the armrests of his wheelchair, speaking softly. Brother, this demeanor of yours is truly in need of correction. Before he could respond, I reached out and kissed him forcefully on the lips, invading his mouth with a fervor that was almost domineering. The kiss brought color back to his lips, and the moment I released him, I predictably received a slap. Yet it was scarcely painful, more like a gentle touch. My brother was doubled over in his wheelchair, coughing violently. I leaned closer, and he lacked the strength to push me away. I held him close, gently patting his back. Brother, showing even a hint of vulnerability before me won't be the end of the world, will it? If we hadn't come to the hospital today, how long would you have intended to keep this from me? You've already made arrangements for me to take over the group, fretting over my marriage, and even prepared a will. What do you plan to do next? In my previous life, after I got married, he abruptly vanished, leaving only a message from the butler Zhang. Retire abroad, do not disturb. I had always obeyed his every word. Whatever he said was law. He even took Zhang with him. To learn of his condition, I could only call Zhang, who would reply with the same two words. Very well. Finally, I received a call from him, a notification from his lawyer regarding my inheritance. The person in my arms ceased coughing. In the next moment, I was forcefully pushed away. My brother gasped, looking as if he wished he could strike me down. What I choose to do requires no notification to you. Once you've had your fun, get lost. I gazed at him impassively. In my previous life, even the slightest change in his expression would have me kneeling before him in penance. This was because he had always portrayed the image of a perfect elder brother before me. Yet now, having kissed him, he still sought to lecture me as a brother. I had no intention of allowing him to maintain that facade any longer. I seized his left hand forcefully, prying open his tightly clenched fist to reveal the tattoo nestled between his ring and middle fingers. The tattoo was a string of black numbers, 2012913, the day he found me by the seaside. Beneath it lay a faint red mark, identical to the birthmark on my left wrist. I inhaled deeply, striving to remain composed. So, brother, you don't feel the need to inform me that you've tattooed my birthmark on yourself, do you? My brother was utterly unprepared for my revelation. He froze, his eyes betraying a panic that he could not conceal. The hands entwined together trembled, and I couldn't tell whose hands were shaking more. The last time I had seen that tattoo, he lay in a coffin, and I had grasped his hand. The sheer despair of that moment still rendered me breathless. I crouched before him, enveloping his cold hands in mine. Brother, I know what you intend to do. You're smart enough to guess what I plan next. So, please cooperate with me, will you? After a long silence, my brother resumed his nonchalant demeanor, shaking off my hands and smirking. You really take a silly tattoo seriously? I can tattoo whatever I want. Don't flatter yourself. Now, either go back to the company or return to the Zhang family. Don't loiter before me. His words were resolute. I pressed down on his hand, controlling the wheelchair. Smiling faintly, brother, I rather enjoy your attitude of bravely facing the world. Should you refuse to cooperate, I have plenty of ways to make you comply. With that, I hooked my arm beneath his knees and lifted him, kicking the wheelchair aside. Yu Chung, are you planning a rebellion? I disregarded his fury, speaking calmly. From now on, wherever you wish to go, you must rely on me. You will only be allowed to use the wheelchair when you agree. My brother completely ignored me. From the hospital to home, he did not grant me a single glance. I carried him up and down without any reaction, as if I were invisible, until I placed a bowl of porridge before him. Without a word, he overturned the bowl. I silently cleaned up the mess and served him again. Each time he knocked it over, I would refill it. By the fourth time, he could no longer bear it. His hand, which had intended to flip the bowl, seized my collar with a fierce grip. Gritting his teeth, he spat, "If you want to serve someone, go find someone to marry, or just return to the Zhang family. The old master is waiting for your filial piety. Don't waste your time on me. I don't need your attention." I lowered my gaze to his trembling hand, frail as a leaf, as if it could shatter with the slightest pressure. I set down the bowl and deliberately took his left hand with my reddened right hand. "Brother, I used to believe everything you said, but later I realized how terribly you deceived me." "Deceived you? When have I ever deceived you? Stop talking nonsense. In high school, I once mentioned wanting you to attend a parent-teacher meeting, and you said you were too busy and told me to ask Zhang. Yet you were waiting outside the school gate all day." "Shut up. You claimed you wanted to temper my character by leaving me to handle the group without interference. Yet every project you assigned me was meticulously chosen. Stop fabricating stories. You claimed that you had imparted all your teachings to me, after which I was to fend for myself, yet your concern lingered, leading you to choose the Zhang family to safeguard my future." My brother's long lashes quivered slightly as he forcefully withdrew his hand, turning his head away to avoid my gaze. "That's not true, is it? But these are the very words Zhang Bo relayed to me. In my previous life at your funeral you were harsh to others, but even harsher to yourself, reserving only your tenderness for me. Loving you was as effortless as breathing, yet leaving you felt akin to relinquishing that very breath. Brother, it's not that you need me, it's I who require you. Can you comprehend that?" Time trickled away in silence. After what felt like an eternity, my brother finally turned to look at me. His face had regained its composure, though his sharp gaze roamed over my features. "Yu Cheng, it appears you are quite unwell." I cast my eyes downward, managing a faint smile. "Indeed, brother, you've discerned that much. In the last 6 months before my demise in my previous life, I often experienced auditory hallucinations and delusions. I was reluctant to take medication. Brother, you are my remedy. Just being by your side is sufficient." My brother regarded me with a look of disdain, his eyes landing on the reddened skin of my hand. "Go fetch some ointment from Zhang Bo, and once you've applied it, bring the wheelchair to me. You should eat first." My brother frowned. "Are you negotiating with me?" I lifted the bowl that had been set aside and scooped a spoonful, offering it to him. "Let us compromise, you take a bite first." He glared at me, reluctantly parting his lips. He took a small mouthful, pressed his lips together, and swallowed. "Can I leave now?" I averted my gaze, suddenly envious of the spoon. I placed the bowl into his hands and cleared my throat, smiling. "Then I shall take my leave." Upon reaching the ground floor, I found Zhang Bo had already prepared the burn ointment. "Did my brother message you?" "Yes. He mentioned that you should eat before coming upstairs." Given that he had once conspired with my brother to keep things from me, I couldn't muster a smile for him. I draped my arm around his shoulders and led him to the living room, sitting across from him with a serious demeanor. "Zhang Bo, I have a proposal. Young master, please proceed. From now on, if my brother intends to hide anything from me, first, you must not assist him, and second, you must inform me. Is that difficult to manage?" "It is indeed." I nodded in understanding. "How about this? You may assist him, but you must notify me afterward. If that is too much to ask, I will have no choice but to arrange for your retirement." "That I can do." "Very well. Is there anything you wish to tell me?" Zhang Bo cleared his throat, his head bowed slightly. "Sir instructed me to add a bit of sleeping medication to the meals." Couldn't help but chuckle. Yu Wenshin was indeed determined to depart. "Zhang Bo, are you aware of my brother's forthcoming plans?" Zhang Bo lowered his head even further. "He did not disclose, didn't he? Allow me to enlighten you. He intends to relocate abroad, taking you with him. Sir has endured much hardship over the years. Perhaps he seeks relaxation overseas." "Relaxation? Within a year, I will receive news of his passing." "How could that be?" Zhang Bo murmured. I closed my eyes, suppressing the painful memories. "Zhang Bo, my brother's condition is far worse than either of us can perceive. When a person is devoid of attachments and tormented by illness, how long do you believe they can survive?" After a prolonged silence, Zhang Bo sighed deeply. "Young master, I will no longer assist the sir in deceiving you. That is insufficient. When necessary, you must help me conceal things from him." "This?" Zhang Bo appeared troubled. I patted his shoulder, offering encouragement. "Believe in yourself. You can manage this. Now, please bring the wheelchair up to my brother and inform him that I will be working in the study after finishing my meal, so I won't disturb his rest." Understood. Oh, and make sure to deliver a glass of milk to him before he sleeps, adding a touch of sleeping medication. Zhang Bo informed me that each dish contained a hint of sleeping medication, so I only nibbled at some plain rice. My intention in the study was not truly to work, but rather to contact a doctor. After my brother's passing in my previous life, I sat by his coffin for an entire night, utterly unable to accept it. When dawn broke, I sought out his family doctor and acquired all his medical diagnosis reports. The ailments listed exceeded those I had received from the hospital today. Following that day, I began a relentless quest for treatment, searching for the most suitable remedies for each of his conditions. Gradually, I witnessed my brother's health improve day by day, saw him smile at me again, call my name and scold me, until one day, I could no longer resist the urge to embrace him, only to be met with the harsh reality of my own delusions. Fortunately, fate has favored me. All that I possess now is genuine. I contacted several doctors, and after our discussions it was nearly 11 o'clock. Zhang Bo visited the study to inform me that my brother had already retired for the night. I hurriedly washed up and quietly entered his room, where only a dim bedside lamp illuminated the space. As I approached the bed, my brother opened his eyes, clarity reflected within them, devoid of any drowsiness. Was the evening meal to your disliking? I knelt beside the bed, speaking softly. I feared that if I ate, I would awaken to find you gone. My brother closed his eyes and turned away. I gazed at the back of his head for a moment before moving to the other side of the bed, pulling back the covers and lying down beside him. Who permitted you to climb into bed? I inched closer to his side. I noticed there were 2 pillows on your bed. Surely one was meant for me? There have always been 2 pillows on my bed. Is that so? I looked at him and smiled. So, you have been waiting for me all along. My brother turned over again. I quietly crept closer, wrapping my arms around him from behind. Stay still, brother. At my youthful age, your scent alone is enough to stir my senses. If you move again, it would be tantamount to an invitation. My brother retaliated with an elbow jab, gritting his teeth. Then you better roll as far away as you can. I buried my face into his neck, greedily inhaling his scent, stifling a laugh as I forcefully turned him to face me. Brother, did you drink the milk Zhang Bo brought you? My brother scoffed. Of course I did. He tugged at my ear. You little rascal, a couple of sleeping pills won't affect me, unless you pour an entire bottle. Then I might get a decent night's sleep. Brother, if you can't say anything nice, perhaps you should engage in some other activity. Before he could react, I cupped his face and pressed my lips against his slightly parted ones, kissing him gently, tentatively exploring. My brother merely pushed me away, but that felt more like encouragement to continue. Thus, I deepened the kiss, entwining my tongue with his, alternating between gentle and forceful caresses. My brother let out a soft whimper. Cool fingers tangled in my hair, pressing against my scalp. I kissed him deeper, my breath growing heavier. The next moment, I felt a sharp pain in my scalp as my brother yanked my hair, pulling me away. Breathless, I stared at his flushed lips, grinning foolishly. Brother, you look particularly handsome right now. My brother responded with a swift slap. You should really see a doctor tomorrow, especially for your mind. I seized his hand before he could retract it and quickly planted a kiss on his lips. Then you should see a doctor too, all right? My brother forcefully pushed me away and turned his back to me. As the heat of his body gradually subsided, I moved closer again, gently embracing him. While warming his hands and feet, I said, Brother, I've already arranged for a doctor for you. Please don't refuse, okay? If you remain silent, I'll take that as your agreement. I counted silently to 3. All right, you've agreed. I passed a restless night in a state between dreams and wakefulness. At 6 o'clock sharp, I rose. My brother entrusted the family business to me. I must work diligently to honor the years of his painstaking guidance. Before leaving, I briefed Uncle Zhang about the doctor's visit scheduled for today, leaving him a dedicated contact number for urgent matters. Upon arriving at the company, I spent the morning tackling a backlog of work. During lunchtime, I attempted to call my brother, but there was no answer. I also called Uncle Zhang, yet he too did not pick up. Just as I was preparing to head home, my secretary ushered someone into the office. It was Juchuan again. Young master, the old master wishes to see you. I shot him a glance. Your titles change quite swiftly, Mr. Juchuan. Juchuan lowered his head. Young master, you may simply call me by my name. I chuckled lightly, but my expression quickly soured. Zhichuan, I will certainly visit old Master Jiang, but having missed him for over 20 years, I don't intend to rush. You may return. I have matters to attend to. Half a minute passed after I finished speaking, yet Zhichuan remained rooted like a statue. Just as I was about to dismiss him, Zhichuan suddenly looked up, his expression resembling one on the verge of tears. Young master, the old master is ill. He appeared in good spirits just yesterday. What could possibly be wrong? Zhichuan hesitated. It's the kind of illness where seeing him one less time could mean everything. A wave of inexplicable anxiety surged within me. I regarded him with a frigid demeanor. If seeing him means one less time, then let us save it for later. Please convey my regards to the old master. I will visit him tomorrow. Zhichuan blocked my path with his arms. I was infuriated. He was clearly stalling for time. Step aside. Don't make me repeat myself. Young master, the old master insisted that you must return to the Jiang family today. Enough of this charade. My patience exhausted, I kicked him hard on the thigh. Get out of my way. Zhichuan remained impassive, steadfastly guarding the door. After 3 punches that he still disregarded, I exhaled deeply. I couldn't afford to harm him. Just as I was about to call for assistance, the phone rang. It wasn't mine. It was Zhichuan's. He handed me his phone, revealing an unfamiliar number. With trembling hands, I pressed the answer button, taking a deep breath to steady my tone. Brother, why didn't you notify me when you changed your number? You even called someone else's phone. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Yuqing, I'm going abroad to retire. From now on, if you need anything, seek old Master Jiang. He has promised me that he will. Yuan Shen, I clenched my fists instinctively. If you're going to deceive me, at least come up with a better excuse. Retiring? What the hell are you talking about? Why do you need to sever ties with me? My breaths echoed in the receiver. After a long pause, Yuan Shen's voice returned, calm and unyielding. I'm not lying. I let out a laugh. Very well, splendid. Brother, you better hide well. Otherwise, when I find you, it will either be your end or mine. I took Zhichuan back to the Yu family. In the basement, I found Uncle Zhang and the 2 doctors I had invited. They were well-fed and watered, but their communication devices had been confiscated. My brother had even located the household registration book and handed it to Uncle Zhang, the intention unmistakable. Uncle Zhang, did my brother say anything to you before he left? Uncle Zhang shook his head, a pained expression on his face. The master only gave me a card and said nothing else. I nodded. In that case, if you wish to leave, now is the time. Uncle Zhang grasped my hand, tears welling in his eyes. Young master, I regret not being able to keep the master here. I cannot go anywhere. I will stay here and wait for you to bring him back. I sighed softly and embraced him. All right, I will definitely bring him back. After sending the doctors away, I took Zhichuan to the Jiang family. My brother owned a private jet, yet he did not utilize it. I had someone check on his commercial flight information, but nothing turned up. Either he hadn't left the country at all, or someone assisted him in doing so. In any case, it was inextricably linked to old Master Jiang. At 7 in the evening, we arrived at the Jiang residence. Old Master Jiang was seated at the head of the dining table, looking even more spirited than Jiang Yizhao beside him. Jiang Yizhao smiled awkwardly. Brother, Grandpa and I have been waiting for you. Please sit down and eat. I glanced at her, then turned to old Master Jiang, sneering. Don't call me that. We have no relationship whatsoever now. Old Master Jiang's expression darkened immediately. Yuqing, how can you speak to your sister like that? I dismissed him, pushing Zhichuan forward. I drew my gun, chambered around, and pressed it against Zhichuan's shoulder. Yuqing, are you insane? Old Master Jiang's voice boomed. I rubbed my ears lazily, smirking as I gestured for him to take a seat. My gaze flicked to the visibly shaken Jiang Yizhao as I pushed Zhichuan step by step forward. Old Master, I don't care what Yuan Shen has exchanged with you for your assistance. Now, I want to make a trade. I want your capable assistant's intact limbs in exchange for my brother's whereabouts. Is that too much to ask? The atmosphere was taut as a drawn bowstring, silence punctuated only by our breathing. The dark barrel of the gun slowly moved across Zhichuan's body. I impatiently urged, haven't you considered yet? 3, 2. Bang! Stop. The moment blood erupted, Jiang Yizhao screamed in anguish. I kept my gaze fixed on old Master Jiang, pressing the gun against Zhichuan's other shoulder. The second shot will also count down from 3. 3. Don't. Please stop. Grandpa. Save Zhichuan. 2. Grandpa. I beg you. Save him. Please. Zhang Yizhao suddenly knelt, weeping uncontrollably. 1. Let him go. Old Master Zhang closed his eyes, reluctantly conceding. I will tell you. I chuckled softly, retracting my finger from the trigger. I'm all ears. Old Master Zhang glared at me, coldly snorting as he summoned a servant to fetch paper and pen. A minute later, the servant returned with the paper. I nodded for Zhichuan to take it. Do you know this place? Yes, young master. Do you know the route? Yes, young master. Very well. From now on, don't call me young master. Call me boss. Boss, may I remove the blood bags from my body? I nodded, signaling to the dazed Zhang Yizhao. You have 5 minutes to comfort your young lady and resign from your previous employer. Zhichuan slowly removed 4 blood bags and walked over. Zhang Yizhao gradually began to smile, while old Master Zhang looked infuriated. In my past life, Zhang Yizhao agreed to a fake marriage with me because she had feelings for someone else. Later, I discovered that person was Zhichuan. Zhichuan, of course, harbored feelings for her as well but had to silently protect her due to his status. It was indeed a tale of 2 star-crossed lovers. Today, after binding Zhichuan, I vowed to assist him in liberating himself from the Zhang family, promising him a position by my side with an annual salary of 1 million. Zhichuan was remarkably agreeable, demonstrating exceptional cooperation. Thus, the earlier performance transpired. Zhichuan had already made his way to the old Master Zhang's side and was currently bidding a reluctant farewell to Zhang Yizhao. I could not muster the interest to watch, instead directing my gaze towards the equally disinterested old Master Zhang. Mr. Zhang, there are certain matters I must clarify with you. I was raised by Yuwenshin, and I shall remain devoted to him for the entirety of my life. He is not only my elder brother but also the love of my life, and we intend to marry in the near future. If you can accept this, I would be willing to address you as grandfather. Should you find it unacceptable, I tossed the gun I held onto the table and smirked coldly. Today marks my first and last visit to the Zhang family. My brother has hidden himself in a seaside villa, with 12 bodyguards stationed in the front yard, 6 for Zhichuan and 6 for myself. Zhang Yizhao mentioned she would deal with the nanny. My brother truly seems intent on driving me away. These bodyguards are increasingly formidable. My fists have bruised, and my meticulously styled hair has become disheveled. Just moments ago, a powerful man shattered my watch. I paused for a second and then struck his chest with force. Seizing a flower pot from the ground, I swung it violently at an assailant sneaking up from the side. Care to try again? I challenged. Numerous bodies lay sprawled on the ground, and no one replied. I brushed the dirt from my hands and removed my watch. A pang of regret hit me. This watch was a birthday gift from my brother. Alas, I would demand 2 replacements from him later. Just as I tucked the watch into my pocket, Zhang Yizhao jogged over. Brother, the indoor obstacles have been cleared. Brother-in-law is in the second room on the 3rd floor. Who taught you that? My online friend. Is the most popular term for a boyfriend, after all. I replied, exasperated. In the future, just call him elder brother. Calling him brother-in-law will surely earn you a beating. I glanced towards Zhichuan's direction. It seemed he was nearly finished. All right, there's nothing more for you to do here. Go wherever you please, but remember to close the door on your way out. I circled the villa before entering. The second room on the 3rd floor had its door ajar, revealing a sparsely furnished interior. A toppled wheelchair faced the entrance, and nearby lay a 3-meter-long balance beam. My brother sat on the floor, his bony hands gripping the parallel bars as if he were a tree uprooted, struggling to rise. I could not help but hold my breath, watching his trembling legs take their first step, the second, the third. He suddenly turned his head, sweat dripping from his temples, his dark eyes glinting coldly. Did you see clearly? He scoffed. In the next moment, he collapsed heavily onto the ground. I snapped back to reality and rushed over to assist him. I attempted to lift him, but he suddenly gripped my hand tightly, pressing his finger into the wound on my knuckle, grinding it with a chilling smile. You went through all this trouble just to see a useless person who will never stand again. Are you satisfied? I allowed him to grip my injured hand, lifting him with one arm while using my foot to right the wheelchair before placing him back in it, wiping the sweat from his brow. I am satisfied. As long as you are alive, I am satisfied. Alive? Yuwenshin forcefully pushed me away, his tone laced with sarcasm. Yuqing, Is this truly your only aspiration? With countless healthy individuals who can run and jump, why waste your time on a cripple like me? I knelt before him, speaking softly, but none of them are you. Brother, I don't need you to be healthy, nor do I require you to stand. As long as I can hold you now, I will be able to do so even when you are 80. I only need your love. I took a deep breath and smiled. You have accomplished that. Haven to you? Love you? Yuwenshin furrowed his brow, his lips curling into a mocking smile, yet his voice trembled. Even if I truly loved you, what then? Yuqing, have you ever considered how long I can accompany you? 5 years? 10 years? What about the remaining decades? Will you live on through memories? End up lonely in old age? Do you want me to be restless even in death? Better a short pain than a long one. Do I need to break that down for you? Separating now gives you ample time to meet new people, forge new relationships, and eventually forget me. If you can't forget me in 2 years, then 5 years or even 10 years. The remaining decades won't be spent in suffering. Do you understand? Yuwenshin's eyes turned red, his chest heaving, his breath shaking. In a moment of turning his head, a tear slipped down his cheek. After a lengthy silence, when he spoke again, his voice was hoarse, as if sandpapered. Yuqing, you are my only remaining concern. If you live well, I can find peace. I have given you everything I can. There is nothing more I can offer. It felt as if a piece of my heart had been forcibly torn away. I realized how painfully he loved me. With difficulty, I spoke, Brother, on what grounds do you assume I can forget you? What makes you think that, if you leave, I will still live for decades? Yuwenshin turned his head to look at me, his brows gradually furrowing. I gazed into his eyes, smiled, and continued, Brother, I have tried. If you leave, I could only survive a year at most. My collar tightened abruptly. What nonsense are you spouting? I pulled his hand down and forcefully pushed his wheelchair away. Standing up, I took several steps back. Brother, without you, that year was excruciating. If you insist on leaving me now, I might as well end this pain right away. Yuqing, what are you planning? Come back quickly. Listen to me and don't leave. Fear gleamed in Yuwenshin's eyes as he clumsily maneuvered the wheelchair. I had never seen him like this. I opened the window and looked down. Sighing, I said, Brother, what if I can't die from this height? Yuqing, come back here, listen to me. I smiled. Then I would surely be crippled as well. Brother, if I became a useless person, would you still push me away? As soon as the words left my lips, I leaned against the windowsill and leaped down. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Yuwenshin leap forward as well, screaming in anguish, Yuqing. I did not truly jump down. I clung to the windowsill, locating a suitable landing spot before maneuvering myself onto the second-floor terrace. Without a moment's pause, I rushed towards the third floor. I merely wished to push my brother to the edge. I never intended for him to be overly distressed. When I arrived, my brother remained in the same forward-leaning position on the floor, his shoulders trembling, utterly disheveled. His muffled cries broke intermittently, whispering my name. I knelt beside him, feeling guilty as I spoke, Brother. His slender back stiffened immediately. Upon realizing it was me, Yuwenshin lunged at me with ferocity, landing a heavy punch squarely on my face. How dare you threaten me this way, Yuqing? How dare you use your life to coerce me? His hand, gripping my collar, trembled uncontrollably. I shut my eyes, bracing for a second blow. The sound of his breathing quivered and fluctuated. After a long wait, the anticipated punch never came. When I opened my eyes, a single tear fell directly into my eye, akin to the rumble of thunder before a downpour. Soon after, large tears cascaded down onto my face, searing my heart. Unable to resist, I reached out to caress his eyes. Brother, how did you feel when I jumped? Yuwenshin turned his face away, raising a hand to cover it. I pressed him into my embrace, my voice hoarse. If you leave, my heart will feel just the same. The person in my embrace ceased to struggle. I tightened my arms around him and gently inquired, if I were to perish, would you forget me? The collar of my shirt gradually became damp. A cool hand slowly rested on the nape of my neck, tightening gradually. I stifled a sob and replied, Therefore, brother, I too shall never forget, not even in death. My brother finally relinquished all his strength and leaned against me, weeping openly. After what felt like an eternity, a broken voice echoed in my ears. How could I have raised such a lunatic like you? I pressed a kiss to the crown of his head, suppressing my trembling voice. What can I do? Brother? I've gone mad like this. Apart from you, no one would want me. My brother tugged at my ear. Not only are you insane, but you're also foolish. A pang tugged at my heart, and warmth welled up in my eyes. When my brother scolded me for my foolishness, it meant he had softened towards me once more. Unable to resist, I kissed his earlobe and chuckled softly. Well then, I am both mad and foolish. Brother, you'll have to take care of me for a lifetime. My brother fell asleep in my arms, having cried himself to slumber. He didn't seem to mind my unclean state. I stole a couple of kisses from him without rousing him. I was unworthy of such a state, and having embraced him entirely, he too was now unclean. Hence, I carried him to the bathroom. While waiting for the bathtub to fill, I couldn't help but kiss him again. My brother's skin was so soft, his lips even softer. There was always a faint, elusive fragrance about him that stirred my heart. Just as I was about to steal another kiss, my brother opened his eyes, scrutinizing me intently. Addicted to kissing. Are we? I boldly pecked his lips. Indeed, brother. I have long been addicted to you. It has been a struggle to hold back these years. My brother cast me a sidelong glance before turning his face away, but the tips of his ears betrayed him. I switched to holding him with one arm and gently tapped his bare toes in the warm water of the bathtub. Is the water temperature to your liking, brother? My brother immediately flared up, tugging at my collar. Put me down. I can wash myself. The bathroom was equipped with a shower chair and various tools to assist him in moving. He could indeed wash himself, but I refused to let him. Brother, those cold, hard tools are no match for my care. Just let me serve you, please. Besides, it's just a bath. It's not too much to ask for you to get accustomed to it, right? Is that okay, brother? My brother wore an expression of exasperation, pulling my ear. If you're serving me, why the hell are you stripping? I chuckled softly, swiftly disrobing him, lifting him from the chair and placing him into the bathtub. With the last layer of fabric removed, he stepped into the tub. My brother's speed in evading me was no match for my grasping him, and so he ceased to struggle, leaning back against me, allowing me to wash him. Before long, my brother spoke softly, warningly, if you're gonna wash me, do it properly, don't make it worse later. Brother, are you in discomfort? My brother tilted his head to glance at me, playfully pushing me away. Who knows? Young man. I caught my breath. Feeling wronged, brother, you initiated this. You must take responsibility. My brother laughed in exasperation, lifting his wet hand to grasp my chin. Little rascal, I genuinely thought you wanted to help me bathe. If you simply said you wanted it, I wouldn't deny you. Why the roundabout? I readily conceded, stating earnestly, brother, I do want it. My brother swatted my hands away as he surveyed me from below, a malicious grin spreading across his face. Not giving it. My brother is the most stubborn yet tender-hearted. Though he claimed he wouldn't give it, soon enough he had a firm grip on my hair, leading me to the bed. I obediently complied, swiftly rinsing us both clean and wrapping him in a towel, cradling him in my arms as I moved with purpose. I took my duty to care for my brother seriously. Every detail had to be attended to meticulously. My brother complained that I was taking too long. I couldn't hurry. I feared hurting him and wanted him to feel comfortable. Soon, my brother fell silent, trembling slightly in my embrace. My heart ached for him. My back throbbed painfully, again and again, fiery in its intensity. My brother was buried in the pillow, his eyelashes dampened with tears, fluttering like butterflies in a storm. I couldn't help but kiss the corners of his reddened eyes. Brother, you are so beautiful. My brother turned his gaze towards me, glaring. Shut your mouth. I smiled softly and reverently kissed his slender, pale calf, its beauty breathtaking. My brother trembled even more violently. I leaned down, holding him, kissing his earlobe, coaxing, brother, I wish to hear your voice. Changing my angle, a low, modulated moan escaped his throat, accompanied by his furrowed brows, pale lips, heaving chest, slender fingers gripping my arm, and curled toes, all of which tore at my reason. The air grew increasingly humid, clinging to us, difficult to part with. I felt on the verge of losing control, fearing he might not withstand it. I lowered my head to kiss away the tears trailing from his eyes, then turned to entwine myself with his tightly shut lips, indulging in an intimate embrace. What should I do, brother? I love you so much. A soft touch grazed my face, lacking force, more akin to a caress. I captured his left hand, which he had not retracted in time, weaving my fingers through his, tracing the ink of his tattoo. Brother, do you still call this a broken tattoo? My brother said nothing, tightening his grip on my palm and pressing down on the back of my head. Our lips met, and I immediately reciprocated with fervor. I knew it. My brother loved me most deeply. No one could love me more than he did. My brother fell asleep once more. This time, he remained undisturbed even while I helped him bathe. After settling him back into bed, I prepared to head downstairs to cook something delicious for him, only to discover that Zhang Yizhao and Zhou Chuan had not yet departed. They had even turned on the television. Brother, oh my goodness, you finally came down. We've reheated dinner 3 times already, but didn't he dare come upstairs to call you. By the way, where's the eldest brother? Why isn't he with you? Haven't you managed to cheer him up yet? I had gone overboard in my efforts. I cleared my throat and asked, you two can cook? Zhou Chuan replied eagerly. Mainly it was Yizhao, I just helped a bit. I gazed at Zhang Yizhao in surprise. Entering the dining room, I lifted the lid of the warming tray and was even more astonished. 8 dishes, primarily light, with a balanced mix of meat and vegetables, all presented beautifully. Zhang Yizhao scampered over in her slippers. Brother, since you said the eldest brother isn't feeling well, I made it lighter for you. Please bear with it. I picked up chopsticks and tasted a piece of steamed fish. This flavor could hardly be deemed merely tolerable. I patted the chair beside me.
Signaling for her tog sit.
Speak. What do you want me to help you with? Zhang Yizhao giggled shyly. Brother, since you've taken in Zhou Chuan, why not take me in as well? Take you in? I kept Zhou Chuan because he can fight. What can you do? Serve as a meat shield? I think you're just looking for a chance to date. Not at all. Dating is secondary. My main concern is the health of the eldest brother. Zhang Yizhao adopted a serious tone. I have a nutritionist certificate because I enjoy cooking, and I also have a chef's certificate. Taking care of the eldest brother's meals would be a cinch. Brother, I won't ask for much in salary. Please consider it. I crossed my arms, scrutinizing her. Did you get kicked out by the old man? Zhang Yizhao instantly deflated like a punctured balloon.
Yeah.
My grandfather was exceedingly irate, suspending my card and declaring that if I could not sever ties completely, I should not return to the Zhang family. Of course, complete severance was beyond my capability. Zhou Chuan claims he can support me, yet I do not wish to burden him unduly. Thus I too aspire to earn my keep. I nodded. It is still for the sake of romance. Observing her bashful demeanor, I stifled a laugh. Very well, since this dish is prepared for my brother, it must satisfy him before it counts. Once he awakens, I shall inquire. Oh, so you spent all this time coaxing him to sleep? My brother was in a profound slumber. I initially intended to rouse him for a bite before he returned to his dreams, yet he swatted me away with his eyes still closed. Admittedly, it felt less like a slap and more akin to being brushed by a feather. In the latter half of the night, my concern grew, prompting me to check his temperature, which registered as normal. By 11 the following morning, there were still no signs of him awakening. His breathing was steady, and his complexion appeared satisfactory. Nevertheless, I remained uneasy and summoned a doctor. Upon examination, the physician informed me that due to prolonged sleep deprivation, my brother's bodily functions had reached their limits. Upon relaxing, his body instinctively entered a state of dormancy. I gazed upon my brother's peaceful countenance, a pang of anguish gripping my heart. The entire afternoon passed in inaction as I kept vigil over him. The interplay of light and shadow filled the room, the curtains partially drawn, allowing a cascade of orange twilight to spill in. He lay there, slightly furrowing his brow, as if disturbed from a tranquil dream. I rose to adjust the curtains but halted, captivated by the scene outside. The sun descended into the sea, its golden rays shimmering and dancing. Memories surged like tumultuous waves, ebbing and flowing, as time receded to our first encounter. In this second life, I finally comprehended that my brother did not genuinely wish to venture to the seaside to feel the night breeze. Following our parents' demise, he had not enjoyed a restful night. With vengeance finally served, he sought to reunite with them. Fate intervened, leading him to me half alive. He had asked if I wished to accompany him to the ocean, where liberation awaited. I confessed my fear of the cold. He scrutinized me for a while before muttering under his breath, "Useless." Ultimately, he drew me onto his wheelchair and returned to the shore, thus extending my life by another decade, embodying both brother and fatherly figure to me, personally paving a broad path for my future. As dusk descended and the moon hung low in the western sky, the moonlight that night shone even more brilliantly than tonight. I lay on the ground, barely clinging to life, as moonbeams illuminated my fingertips, cloaking them in bloodstains. I yearned to capture that moon, reaching out to grasp it. I truly held it, just as tonight, the moon fell into my embrace. My brother stirred in my arms, slowly opening his eyes. The room remained unlit, yet I could discern the glimmer in his gaze. I gently patted his back. "Brother, did you have a nightmare?" He remained silent, his brow quivering slightly, fixated on me. After a prolonged moment, he gradually lifted his hand to caress my cheek. "Didn't you say you were afraid of the cold? The seawater is so chilly. How can you still?" A sudden tremor coursed through me as an absurd thought began to take root. "Brother, could it be that you too?" He embraced me tightly, pressing me closer to him. "If you're hallucinating, why not take your medication?" I buried my face in his neck, a smile escaping me as tears streamed down my cheeks. "Brother, I miss you so much. If I take the medicine, I won't see you again. You always appear for a while and then vanish. Once, you disappeared for a long time, and I searched everywhere for you, ultimately running to the seaside. It wasn't painful, brother. I was racing towards you, not in pain at all." His voice trembled with sorrow. "You foolish child, how can you be so naive? I cannot always bring you back." "You cannot, so this time let me bring you back," I replied, meeting his gaze with a smile. My brother paused, forcing a smile, yet the tears in his eyes could no longer be contained, cascading down onto my hand, burning with their warmth. I kissed his temple softly, whispering, "Do not cry, brother. Let me show you something." I turned on the bedside lamp and retrieved an item from beneath my pillow, presenting it to him. He stared in surprise before promptly tugging at my ear. "Whose household register has a red cover?" I raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Ours does. We are both family and lovers, hence it must be red." He perused the thin pages, glancing back and forth. "What about old Master Zhang?" "No worries. By the way, brother, what did you promise him?" He averted his gaze, rubbing his nose. "Nothing much. He helped me find a place, and I agreed to assist him in running for the next president of the business association, plus this page of the household register for you." I remained silent. He quickly added, "I have my own motives too, all right? If he remains president, you will have an additional layer of protection when you return to the Zhang family." "Brother, do not dwell on it. The old man does not acknowledge me." My brother was taken aback. "What is wrong with him?" I lamented, "I do not know. When I told him I wanted to marry you, he fell silent. Perhaps it is better if this grandfather does not recognize me, don't you think, brother?" He chuckled helplessly. "What nonsense." He affectionately ruffled my hair. "What you say goes." Epilogue. Brother's perspective. 2 days later, we returned to the Yu family, accompanied by a young lady chef and a poker-faced bodyguard. The chef was a skilled cook, though rather talkative and prone to reporting on Yu Cheng's misdeeds. Upon our first meeting, she addressed me as brother-in-law, nearly causing me to rise from my wheelchair in indignation. Clearly, that rascal Yu Cheng had taught her to say that. Thankfully, by her second encounter, she corrected herself to elder brother. Acknowledging her mistake is the mark of a good child. I, being magnanimous, chose not to hold it against either of them. As for the bodyguard, he was competent but rather obstinate. One day, I posed a hypothetical question. If Zhang Yizhao and Yu Cheng fell into the water simultaneously, whom would he save first? He pondered for quite some time, ultimately responding with 3 words. "I do not know." The next day, the chef requested leave, claiming she needed to learn to swim. Yu Cheng informed me that the bodyguard had also taken leave to personally teach her. Zhang Bo had also changed. The chef monitored my meals, while he kept a watchful eye on my medication. The prescriptions from the traditional Chinese medicine Dr. Yu Cheng had engaged were increasingly bitter. I inquired if Zhang Bo could help me dispose of half a bowl, to which he consented, only to turn his back and call Yu Cheng instead. As for Yu Cheng, there was no need to mention. He had devolved to the point where I had to coax him to go to the office every morning. At times, he resembled a little puppy, nuzzling against me for ages. Generally, in such cases, coaxing was unnecessary. A couple of slaps sufficed. In the past 2 months, he had been learning massage techniques, claiming he wanted to help relieve my legs and back. Massaging my legs was tolerable, but the back was fraught with peril. Afterward, he held himself accountable, lamenting his lack of skill, impure intentions, and insufficient willpower. A month later, his technique had indeed improved, yet his focus remained lacking. Fortunately, he could endure it. I felt completely at ease, and seeing him struggle made my heart soften, prompting me to draw him closer. Thus, I enjoyed a free massage. As winter set in, I fell ill, suffering from a confluence of ailments, quite severe. In my previous life, I had stumbled at this very hurdle. I recall a doctor once stating that I lacked a survival instinct. It was indeed a predicament. This time, however, the circumstances were different. Yu Cheng stood vigil by my bedside, shedding tears like gold, and I longed to reach out and wipe them away, though I barely had the strength. Numerous times, I felt as though I were on the brink of slipping away, yet Yu Cheng's voice anchored me back to reality. That mischievous boy threatened me once again. As I took my leave, he followed closely behind. Very well. His threats had succeeded. Upon opening my eyes, at the moment my gaze sharpened, I beheld several smiling faces. Zhang Bo, clad in a white coat, the chef from the young lady's household, and even the stoic bodyguard. But where was Yu Cheng? Ah, there he was, cradling me, tears streaming down my neck. I reached out to caress his face. He had lost weight. That rascal once again tugged at my heartstrings. I pinched his cheek, demanding a smile from him, only to have his tears smudge my lips. With so many people present, I decided to smile for him instead. After all, love compels such gestures. 3 days after my discharge, it was New Year's Eve. This morning's breakfast was prepared by Yu Cheng, as the young lady's chef and her bodyguard had returned to the Zhang family. I inquired why Yu Cheng had not accompanied them back. The cheeky lad cast a nonchalant glance my way and replied, "I do not bear the surname Zhang." I couldn't help but chuckle. His reasoning was quite sound. After all, I had raised him myself. Yu Cheng stood by, urging me to eat quickly, for if the chef returned and found him indulging me with such fare, she would surely scold me, leading to a lengthy lecture. Just as I set down my bowl, I heard someone call out, "Elder brother." Had they returned? Squinting, I confirmed it was true. They arrived, burdened with numerous bags, resembling a shopping spree at the supermarket. The bodyguard took the items into the kitchen while the chef, beaming with joy, approached me, stealthily swiping 2 red envelopes and inquiring about my breakfast that morning. Just as I was about to respond, Yu Cheng suddenly appeared, whisking me away. He claimed the weather was delightful and suggested we bask in the sun in the garden. It was a reasonable excuse, prompting the chef to grant us passage. After sitting in the garden for a few minutes, Yu Cheng reappeared, brandishing several sheets of red paper and a pair of scissors, placing them in my lap and instructing me to cut out some window decorations. However, I was wholly unfamiliar with such craft. I fumbled with the scissors for a while. Something seemed to glimmer on my finger. I held it up to the sunlight and discovered it was the ring Yu Cheng had stealthily slipped onto my finger the previous night. This concludes the tale. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next story.